Welcome back to Shadow of the Apple. Today we are going to be recapping the New York Mets and the Cincinnati Reds and the New York Yankees and the Kansas City Royals. The Yankees won their series. The Mets really didn't. They didn't at all, actually. They didn't even come close to winning the series. So let's get right into it. I don't know which one we were to start with. Um, do you care who we start with?
No, it really doesn't matter at all. I think both series were just kind of like nothing crazy happened. They're both kind of what you expected, kind of for both of these teams against their opponents. So,
Yeah, I mean, I guess the closest game was for the Yankees was the Memorial Day game.
yep, game one, uh, they played at Kansas City. Um, it was I mean, a back and forth game the whole time. Uh, Will Warren started that game. It was on ESPN. It was like a 4 o'clock start on Eastern time. Sounds a little interesting, but I believe it was a tie game in the eighth inning when Jake Bird gave up a home run to Bobby Witt Jr. So the Royals took the lead, and that wasn't really. It was to me it felt like an obvious home run when it happened. Like I said it out loud. I'm like, someone's going deep here. We're keeping Jake Bird in the bottom of the eighth inning at a tie game. Someone's going deep. I didn't know if it was Witt or Salvi because all the runs scored in the series for the Royals were by those two guys.
Yeah,
So
can I add that there were
mhm.
there were a lack of 1 o'clock games on Memorial Day. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, usually they try and do like. I mean, I feel like they usually try and do a few noon, 1 o'clock games, and then a few games at night. But I don't know. It was an interesting schedule this year. But anyway, yeah. So Bobby would hit the home run. The Royals went ahead, and it just felt like the Yankees were just back to losing again. But they weren't because Anthony Volpe came up clutch in the top of the ninth inning. He scored. He had an RBI single that scored. I believe it was Paul Goldschmidt and Jazz. They both reached before him. So it's great to see Volpe come back, and he's been pretty solid so far. It was a huge hit, obviously. It's good to win, keep the winning streak against the Royals alive, which I'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, so that was the closest, most competitive game. The next two were very much the complete opposite. Um,
Yeah, yeah, it was. I was at Buffalo Wild Wings to watch Thunder Spurs, and they had the Yankee game on the side, and I saw it was like 14-1, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
yes, they're beating the Royals.
yeah. So that would be game two. The Yankees won 15-1. Cam Schlittler started. He only had to go six because they had to lead. Didn't want to waste bullets on a young pitcher. He gave up 1 run, which was another solo shot to Bobby Witt. Um, the Yankees had 6 home runs. Belly hit one, Volpe hit one, Jazz, Grisham, and Rosario hit two. Bellinger also had home run in the first game. I forgot to add. These are both his first home runs on the road this season, which is pretty interesting because he's usually pretty even. I mean, he's been better at home, but with the Yankees, he's been like he hasn't been really bad on the road, but this year he has been. So it's good to see him get his first two on the road. Hopefully, continue that. But yeah, and game two was just a blowout. They really needed this game. They needed the series, but this game in particular. They played so many close 1, 2 run games. The first game against the Royals, they played the Rays series, the Blue Jay series, so just a lot of close games. So a game like this was really needed. Um, it was also the first time in Yankees history that all 9 starters in the lineup had 2 or more hits, which is pretty crazy to think about. And the Yankees have been around for a very long time.
Yeah, I think their pitching depth is really important for them when the time comes. People are gonna go down. People are going to
Hmm.
um, stuff is gonna happen. So to have all these pitchers and have all this talent available is pretty important down the line when you get to the nitty gritty.
Yeah, I mean, even right now, um, you know, getting to the pitchers again. I'll talk about Garrett Cole's second start of the year, back from Tommy John. But yeah, I mean, even Garrett Cole came back, and right before that, Max Fried hit the injured list. So we still have not seen Like our four big starters in the rotation together, which is pretty crazy. I mean, we've basically. I mean, I'm referring to Schlittler as the fourth one. He's been on the Yankees roster since July of last year. We haven't seen all four of them together, so that'll be fun whenever it happens. Hopefully, it does. We haven't had good luck with that, but hopefully, it happens. But anyway, talking about Cole's second start, he went 6 and 2/3. You have 0 runs with 10 strikeouts and 0 walks. Um, since coming back, he's pitched 12 and 2/3 innings with 12 Ks and 3 walks in total. So, I mean, these are the starts coming back from Tommy John. We talked about this in in the last few episodes. These are the two starts you expect him to be terrible. You expect him to come back, try and get used to things. You if he would have given up, if he would have walked 5 guys in these 2 games each and given up 3, 4 runs, like that would have been understandable. But he's gone out and he's pitched like his best self these first 2 games. Of course, it's a small sample. I don't expect that to keep up throughout the rest of the year, but it's very impressive coming back from Tommy John, having these two starts go the way they did. But anyway, the Yankees ended up going on to win that game 7-0. Nothing too crazy happened on offense. McMahon hit a home run, I believe. That's about it. But yeah, so this was Garrett Cole's first win since 2024 because he was out for so long. What's interesting about that is that win was against Kansas City in the division series. So in that time,
I see how you
so
put it all together.
so in that time, right, Garrett Cole. I'll break down a timeline for you. I wrote it down. October 7th, 2024. The Royals win Game 2 of the ALDS. October 7th, 2024. That is. October 10th, 2024. Garrett Cole wins Game 4 of the ALDS. That's his last win that he got because he ended up going down with Tommy John right after the no, it was the next free training, but he didn't get another win the rest of the playoffs. And his first W back was May 27th, 2026, against the Royals, and the Royals has still not beaten the Yankees since the division series. That's 14 straight games the Yankees have won against the Royals. I mean, the Royals feel like the new Twins. I mean, for a while, the Twins were the team the Yankees would beat up on. When the Twins are coming to town or the Yankees are going to Minnesota, the odds are it's going to end up with a sweep. I mean, it still kind of is that way, but it's definitely changed to the Royals. You love to see Kansas City coming up on the schedule for the Yankees.
Yeah, the Royals also aren't very good. They're 22-35, and
Yeah.
they're 10 games out of their division, so they haven't been good since.
Yeah, which is quite interesting. I mean, they kind of have a similar roster to what they had the last few years, especially their playoff year. I mean, the roster is different, but offensively, especially, I mean, I feel like they've gotten better. So it's interesting to see how they've fallen off a little bit. But
I mean, if you think about it, though, like 2024 was just kind of like a one-off year for them. Like they were really, really good the 1 year.
yeah, I feel like a lot of AL Central teams also just beat up on each other because there's never really one super good team there. So usually, whoever makes the playoffs for that division are usually the weaker teams.
Yeah, they've had weak divisions in the past before. I mean, they had 2 teams in the playoffs last year. So, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, the Royals also just they just aren't very that good. The Yankees should win. They should sweep the Royals, for being honest.
Yeah, so yeah, like I was saying, that's a very much needed series for the Yankees after so many close 1-run, 2-run games against division rivals.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, is there anything else about this series or not?
No, not much. Next we go to Sacramento, face the Athletics. We lost the first series played against them back at Yankee Stadium in April. So
I
hopefully
guess.
they win this one.
Mm-hmm. My only question is like, what does like this series like? Does it just kind of like? Did it really set anything for either team? Did it like say anything about either team, or did it just kind of like say the same thing that's been said about these 2 teams?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I said too much. I think really I mean, the Royals have been struggling all year, so I can't really speak on their part. Sure, it was disappointing to lose those 2 games by that big of a score. But I mean, for the Yankees, it just shows, yeah, the offense has been struggling recently against much better pitching. So it's kind of just a refresher for them. Um, Reminder that they can still put up a lot of runs when they're not facing an ace. Even if they are facing an ace, they can still put up a lot of runs. They just have to do it. So it doesn't say too much about the Yankees, in my opinion. Just it was really just a nice reset.
Yeah. All right.
But a team who looked like they were going to reset after playing the Yankees has not really done that, and they played against Cincinnati Reds.
They sure did. So, I mean, I guess we could talk about that. So,
Yeah,
the Mets lost another series again. This is their second straight series loss. We haven't won a series since that Yankee series. Um, and I guess the main two things to talk about was the pitching. We've talked about how the pitching's been good all year. And that's been their strength, you could say. Um, but the pitching looked very off. It was a little bit of an off series. When you looked at the stats, so mainly Nolan McLean. So in his first 8 starts, he's had 48 innings pitched, 15 earned runs, 32 hits allowed, with a 2.78 ERA. But other than that, he's been pretty good. If you watch him play, he's got the job done. Um, but in his last 2 starts, he's had 13 earned runs, 13 hits allowed with a 13 ERA. So, and he was the culprit of a blowout in New York on Memorial Day when they lost to the Reds.
his last start prior to the Red start was the one against the Nationals, right?
Yep, yep.
So he was kind of let down there by the defense a little bit. But I mean, yeah, the number does like he's the ace basically. I mean, I know Freddie Peralta's supposed to be,
He is their ace. Nolan McLean
but
is their ace.
yeah, McLean's been a significantly better pitcher. He's a guy they're going to most likely have longer. So I mean, he's the ace. He's young, obviously, but yeah, I mean, if you're going to win games, win series, try to get back in this, you have to have him pitch the way he's supposed to be pitching.
So, McLean and Mets manager Carlos Mendoza have attributed this slump to poor execution, falling behind counts, and the ability to land his secondary pitches. He's also been getting up the long ball, allowing multiple home runs in consecutive starts. So yeah, like he's this in my opinion, I would say is probably the first like slump in his career. I think he's been pretty like damn perfect until now. Um, but I would agree with what they're saying has been wrong. I mean, he definitely he's he for one. I mean, he's a nasty pitcher. He tries to generate a lot of ground balls. He's and strikeouts, um, and both of those aren't really being seen in these last 2 starts. You're seeing less strikeouts. You're seeing less ground balls, um, and the changeup and the curveball usually is like I say his secondary pitches are like his finishing pitches, to like mess somebody up and put them away, but because of that, because he's been falling behind accounts, hasn't really been given the ability to give himself to do that. So, um, this also comes with time. You know, players figure out stuff about pitchers, their emotions, if they've been tipping pitches or not. Which I'm the people have been talking about on Twitter how Devin Williams might be tipping his pitches again, which is incredible how this guy keeps tipping his pitches. But
Yeah, I remember that was an issue uh, late in his Brewers career. I'm pretty sure the Mets had something on him in the wild card, right?
yeah,
When also with
he
the
was
homer.
tipping his pitches in that ninth inning against the Mets.
Yeah, and then there was a little bit with him last year. No, with the Yankees too at times. But in general, he just kind of sucked with the Yankees. I don't think it was really that, but there was a little bit of it.
Yeah, yeah, and then in game 2, because both these games they lost 7-2. David Peterson had 5.8 innings pitched, 11 hits, uh, 6 earned runs, 4 Ks, 3 walks on 90 pitches. So David Peterson is another one who wasn't he was an all-star. Well, before we even like get into what is David Peterson now, let's backtrack. So David Peterson was brought up at the Mets in 2020, and he always kind of showed flashes his like first few years with the Mets. Whether he was in the starter or as a reliever, typically better as a starter. But in 2024, he really broke out, and the first half of 2025, he was an all-star. So David Peterson was a very good pitcher for the Mets. But in the second half of 2025, um, I'm not really even sure if it was just him being gassed or it was him something wrong with his pitching motion, his pitching style. People getting used to his style of pitching, but he got a really bad 2025 in the second half, and then in this year, he has a 3.5 record with a 5.57 ERA. I mean, he pitched 9 innings. He pitched a complete game last year. So his struggle, and I'm not too sure why. Like what has happened to David Peterson in these last two stretches of in his career in the second half of 2025 and the first half of 2026. What has happened to David Peterson uh in, where he has completely fallen off and he's been lower and lower on the Mets depth chart because he was probably like their second, third best pitcher in 2024. Um and he was their all-star pitcher obviously. So it's been really weird to see how him all of a sudden just kind of struggle.
Yeah, I don't really know like exactly what it could be. I'm sure it's not an injury because it's been like a long sample size. I mean, it could be something that he's been dealing with that's not too major, but that's bothering him that no one's mentioned or anything. But I think fatigue can play a part of it. Um, I mean, all good pitchers go through that at some point in their career, especially I mean, especially when they're younger, but still even at other points in their career. That's like what the Yankees are trying to avoid with Camp Schlittler right now. This is his first full season on a major league roster, pitching every 5 days. So like, yeah, I mean, when they had that huge lead, they could have left him out there, but they took him out after 6 because there was no need to waste any more pitches. So yeah, that's a thing pitchers deal with. That could be the case. Um, it's hard to tell. I mean, yeah, like I said, I can't imagine it's an injury. Maybe the league did just catch up to him, like you said. They just kind of learned more about his style. So I guess we'll have to see what goes on with that. But
Well,
yeah,
I'm doing more research, and it says so. One of the things, one of the main key footnotes is obviously so command and execution issues. So they're saying that David Peterson has frequently fallen behind in counts and lost the feel for his mechanics, resulting too many pitches left over the plate and an inflated walk rate. He did have the 4 walks. Apparently, there's been a report disconnected between Peterson and the dugout, and Peterson has
mm,
expressed frustration with being asked to over rely on sinkers and changeups away from hitters, preferring to pitch inside to right-handed batters. I'm
yeah.
not
I
sure.
was gonna ask. Well, not was gonna ask. I was thinking in my head when you were talking about control or whatever. His walk rate's probably up because I haven't checked the numbers, but yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're walking guys, you're giving guys free passes. The odds are more guys are going to come across and score. And that's not really what you're so. That's the complete opposite of what your job is, not to let guys
Yeah,
score.
yeah, walk rate is definitely a problem. I know. I mean, Peralta had that issue in his last start. So, um, but and then people also said that defensive and mental lapses behind his pitching metrics. He has been hampered by execution issues in the field, including highly publicized mental mistakes like falling to back up home plate, which he did. He did in this series. He failed to cover the base.
Hmm.
Just I don't just he's taking a note of his hero Garrett Cole. So
It's not even the same play, but okay.
he's just idolizing his hero. So um they lost another loss. Um but in the win, so you had the main positives. You had Carson Bench with an RBI. You had Eric Wagaman hit a home run. You had Juan Soto hit a home run, and Jonah Tong looked pretty damn good. So he earned the win in relief. He was the bulk reliever. He pitched 3.2 innings, allowing just 3 hits, 4 walks, and 1 earned run with 1 strikeout and a 4-2 victory. So he got the job done. Obviously, we I don't know if we really talked about Jonathan getting brought up um in the last episode,
I
but
don't think we did. I believe it happened after we recorded. I could be wrong, but
well,
not sure.
I don't even remember because I really didn't watch the Marlins series. I'm pretty sure he pitched in the series, like as a reliever. Um,
Oh, I didn't know that.
but Jonathan, so we saw a little bit of Jonathan, at the end of last year when McLean and Brandon Sprout were both called up, and we got to see just a little bit of what these guys had to offer. And Jonathan was pretty solid in his time as a rookie last year. He definitely had some issues handling his second pitches, getting past more than multiple innings. So it was definitely towards the end he struggled a little bit, going past like 2 to 3 innings. Um, but overall, he is a prospect who I think could be really good for the Mets. He um, wasn't as ready as McLean, which is why McLean started the year and he didn't. But I guess this is just the time to call up their young guys and see what they can do. So we're seeing it with Tong. So I feel like he's gonna be pretty good for us.
Yeah, we mentioned this over the last few weeks for the Mets. I mean, especially while people are out, you'd love to see some younger prospects get called up, see what they can do, see if they can light a fire under the team. Because at this point, you're just looking for anything to help you try and get back into it. But I want to ask, besides the obvious, um, what what was different between the Mets in the 2 games they lost and the game that they won? Because when I watched the highlights, to me it just seemed like the team. I don't want to say having more fun because of course you're having more fun when you're winning, but it just seemed like it felt like a different team. It felt like this is a team that's supposed to be playing this way, supposed to be winning ball games.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? I was watching another podcast and I was watching Draft Nick Mark's podcast and he was talking about how this Mets team like doesn't have any heart. And you know, there's it's really just this simple when the Mets, you know, when they have life and they have the ability to come back. They have life. They play hard. They play hungry. But when they get blown out and they're down 5 runs, they kind of just put their head down. Like it really depends on how many runs they're down by. Like I've never like I haven't seen the Mets be down by like a decent amount. Like I've seen the Mets blow games where they've been up 5 runs, 4 runs, and then blow it. But I haven't seen the Mets make really any comebacks like that. I mean, the only 2 comebacks like they really made this year was the one against the Yankees, and they made a big comeback against the Giants on the Easter Sunday. So it really depends. Like the Mets just this Mets team really just doesn't. I'm trying to put the words together because I'm not my words are not wording, but the Mets really don't they don't have as much fight and as heart as teams in the past, and that was a problem with the team last year. They didn't have a single game where they came back after trailing in the ninth. Like if they were down in the ninth, past the ninth inning, the game was over. They didn't make any big notable comebacks all of last year. They lost a majority of their games being down after the ninth inning. And for a while, the last time they came back and won and took the lead after being down going into the ninth inning was the wild card game in 2024. So the all of 2025, they didn't make a single comeback um, to that level.
Yeah, I like what you said about um, when they're down by like 5 or more, they kind of just they don't show life. A good example of that everyone Yankees and Mets fans got to see was the Subway Series this year. In that first game when the Yankees were up, it just felt like there wasn't any fight. I feel like they didn't really have any I mean, yeah, the Mets kind of just they shut down. They didn't really have any good at bats, really. Um, they just felt it
Yeah,
looked like they were just like they just knew the game was over, just trying to go home. But then the second two games, they were much closer, and the Mets ended up obviously winning both of those. So yeah, firsthand, we all got to see the difference between a Mets team that's down and knows they're most likely out, and a Mets team that knows they're close, they have a lead, or they're in the process of a comeback.
yeah. When it rains, it pours, and like that's something that I mean. This is something that comes to my mind now. Now that we're talking about it, I mean, sports are half of it is mental, like half of it is mentality and
Mm-hmm.
thinking that you can win.
Yeah, especially in baseball. I mean, baseball's. I love baseball because it's so completely different from all the other, especially like the big sports in America. Um, I mean, it's very one-on-one in a way. Obviously, the pitcher versus the hitter, and yeah, I mean, a lot of mentality has to go into that. You fail around 70% of the time, and the average batting average in Major League Baseball these days is like I think 260. So, and that's like 75% of the time that you're going to fail. So, yeah, a lot goes into that. And yeah, like you said, I mean, as a team, as a team, you can't let being down get to you. You know, if you're down 5-0 in the fourth inning, you can't really just roll over and just accept that. I mean, if you're a team with the payroll of the Mets, the names the Mets have, you should be trying to your best to fight back, and you shouldn't seem all defeated when it's the fourth inning.
Yeah, I completely agree, but that's I think that also could be an issue with the fact that the team is pretty young as well. Um, a team that is young, they're probably gonna have they're not gonna be as mature as baseball players. They're not going to have the same mentality as a player who has been around and seen things.
Yeah, that's a very fair point. But I mean, a counterpoint to that would be, yeah, I mean they're young when it comes to being major league players, but they have been playing pro baseball for years. They've been playing baseball for their whole lives. Obviously, they're some of the best in the whole world, and especially on a team that has so many veterans, like obviously Lindor, Soto, Bichette, and many others. I mean, you'd expect someone to step up and say something. Maybe that'll be what it takes for this team to get back on track and play to their potential. Maybe a veteran has to just step up and say something.
Well, yeah, I mean, their consistency is pretty key. I mean, the Mets have scored two or fewer runs in half of their games played this season, so they haven't, you know, hit to their standards. They haven't they now they've been a very on and off team. They've there's been times where they were thinking maybe this team does show you something. They have shown you flashes, and then they go back to the same antics. So um, but it starts with being consistent. Like scoring two or few runs in half of their games is not manageable. You're not going to win. That's just the facts. But I the Mets. I'm gonna try to find the post again, but the 2024 Mets were 22-33 on this at this time around 2 years ago. The Mets have the same record as the Mets of 2024. So you know, like it looks really fucking grim right now, and like yeah, why would you be? There's nothing really to be positive about with this Mets team. And I don't know if this team even has close to the heart the 2024 team had, but there's still at least a small, decent sample size where something could happen. But I'm not banking on it. But the Knicks are in the finals, so that's what I'm excited about.
That's true. Something for New York fans. Well, not New York fans. New York fans. Some of us have the Yankees. Some of us don't.
The Knicks are universal, brother. So I think that kind of wraps it up with this series. I mean, kind of just another sad series for the Mets, and then the Yankees kind of just took care of business.
Yeah. There's a question I have. So the Tampa Bay Rays, they picked up Craig Kimbrell and Austin Slater.
Yes.
Should we be worried about that?
No.
Because they were
No.
with the Mets. They weren't very great with the Mets. Slater was with the Yankees last year. He didn't do much. He got hurt pretty much right after he was traded. But I mean, the Rays. This is what they do. They pick up people who you don't expect to be picked up by a team in first place with the best record in the American League, and then they turn them into guys that you want. I mean, I saw the two names they picked up. I was kind of shocked at first. Didn't make much sense. I thought about it. I mean, obviously Kimbrel's shown he's a good pitcher in the past. Maybe they see something they can fix. Slater is he kind of is the hitter they like. They like the guys with flat swings who'll make contact and just get on base rather than swinging for the fences.
Yeah, but Austin
So
Slater
I don't
can hit a
know.
baseball, so you won't gotta
Yeah,
worry about that.
well, yeah, that's true. But the Rays have a lab that they bring them to, and they turn them into 5 times the player they are. So we'll see what happens with that. I do want to add real quick too. The Yankees started this series, what I believe was 4.5 back of the Rays. Yeah, they started 4.5 back. Now they're game and a half back. This is 4 straight games now that the Yankees have won the same time the Rays have lost. That's exactly what you need. I kind of predicting the Rays were going to fall off a little bit at some point. Didn't expect it to be right now, but I mean they're still in first place. Obviously, they could take another 5-game lead, but things are looking good. So we'll see what happens with that. I still think the Blue Jays are the team you have to worry about going towards the end of the season. But that's all for me and the Yankees.
Yeah, I mean they lost the series to the Orioles, but the Orioles their
Mm,
bats broke out. They scored 9, 6, and 11 runs in each of their games. So something I also want to add last thing to talk about is that Clay Holmes recently learned that surgery won't be necessary. So Holmes could potentially return in early August, right before the trade deadline. So that means that the Mets, after all this that happened, will potentially have another person that they could potentially trade away and get something for
Welcome back to the Yankees, Clay Holmes. Maybe.
as a starter this time.
Yeah, we don't need that probably, but hopefully we don't. If we do, that means we have a lot
Clay
of
Holmes has
injuries,
been very
a
good
lot
as a
older
starter,
older men.
though. You can't lie.
No, he has been. I can't. I mean, he was quite rough with the Pirates, and obviously he came to the Yankees closer. He was very very streaky. He was really good one night and really terrible the next. And yeah, I would say he's playing the best baseball of his career with the Mets as a starter.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I like Clay, so hopefully he can come back healthy. But um, I think that'll wrap it up.
Hmm.
All right, so Mets will be finishing up their homestand against who else but the Miami Marlins, and the Yankees will be playing the Sacramento, Oakland, whatever you want to call them, Athletics.
Las Vegas, yeah, they have a lot of names.
Yeah. All right, so that'll wrap it up. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.